So I'm speaking to Danilo Acquisto, the founder of Special Effects Media and quite a famous South African celebrity, I would say.
Stop it.
It's true.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, welcome. So we're going to be talking about YouTube, and I really want to pick your brain on behalf of our listeners for all of your tips and tricks on how to master YouTube. And so one of the questions that I had in our pre-conversation was, you don't have your own YouTube channel.
Haha. It's a privatized YouTube channel. It has 1 million subscribers and it's only viewable in like Iran. I'm joking. I never actually made the transition myself personally from TV to my own YouTube content. I think the exposure that I had to content sort of globally helped me see that there were certain categories that were doing really, really well. And I would have had to have dedicated my full attention and life to it. And at that stage, I already had this business running and I needed to focus on ensuring that we deliver good quality to all the creators in South Africa and our clients. It's always been an interesting factor for ourselves, chefs that don't eat their own food. We have built from the ground up YouTube channels that are successful. We've managed to do it ourselves. We know all the right tips and tricks to do it. But our business only in sort of next year or so, maybe towards the end of this year, we'll start looking at building original content channels. It just goes against what the initial idea for starting a YouTube network was, which was to support the current YouTube industry with creators who are doing this full time, who need more support and need more finances. And so it really just has been a time thing.
You're all over YouTube. I mean, when I search your name, there's like, you're on 1,000 other shows.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the search engine. Why we love YouTube and chose that as a platform. Just the search engine is phenomenal.
So talk me through high level what it is that you do and your speciality.
Right, so I had a huge history on television. I was there for about 9 years, worked as a live TV presenter and involved in producing as well. I'm a serial entrepreneur, whether it be social or sort of commercial. I love starting things, finding solutions to problems in the world. And one of the things I noticed from my career on television was I was 25 years old and speaking to millions of people on television. Where was I going to go from there? There was nowhere to go. And this world of digital obviously has always been a big thing. And trying to figure out what the next step was towards a transition there. And so I had started a production company. I had tried to start another YouTube multi-channel network, in fact, with local investors. We built an online magazine called 6B Magazine. Oh, Lord, that was a chamosh. And then we also started some other projects on the side involved in this digital space. And so just by being involved, I was immersed in the world of YouTube and got a sense that there was a large gap for creators in terms of support. No one was supporting the local YouTube industry. YouTube don't even have resources to allocate to Africa. They have one partner manager for the entire of Africa. And so there wasn't enough support available here. And so we thought this is a great opportunity. I love nurturing. I love growing. I love the talent in South Africa. Build this thing. And so we met a Hungarian business partner who had a YouTube multi-channel network, which is like a Google partner in Hungary. And they had a network of about 100 and something YouTube creators. One of us, a South African creator, had signed to their network and then was subsequently saying, I need more localized support. And they were like, well, do you know anybody in South Africa who has a good knowledge of YouTube, the landscape, the market, who has enough connections to help us start a YouTube network there? They invested all the money into it. I invested my time, quit my job on television and focused full-time August 2017 in founding the business here. We started out being a YouTube multi-channel network solely, signing creators onto a network, offering them management from an SEO, data analytics, and content strategy perspective. So what works on YouTube, how to build your channels, connect with each other, grow, collaborate, and then working with brands to try and get them to collaborate with them on influencer campaigns. So think about how do we use YouTubers in brands' contents and help them generate revenue. From there, a lot of our clients were asking, but hey, wait, you work with these YouTubers. We want to grow our own YouTube channels. Can you do this commercially for us? And so we built offerings that had to do with YouTube consulting and channel management for corporates. And then from there, they said, well, we've got this lovely YouTube channel. Who's going to make the content? And so we thought, cool, well, we know the data. We have access to all of these YouTube sort of creators. We know what does well. Why don't we just produce the content ourselves? And so we included that department. And so technically we offer 3 main services to our clients and then 1 extra service to YouTube creators. It's the YouTube network, YouTube consulting and channel management, so helping brands grow on the platform. Production, we produce all the video content based on best practice and data analytics. And then we do influencer marketing as well, helping brands identify how to reach audiences through popular people.
That's quite a mouthful.
Yeah, it's been so difficult to solidify what we do in a sentence. Is also it's like impossible. So we once said to ourselves, like our big why for starting the business was that we want to nurture Africa's creative voice. That's why we wake up in the morning and thrive. But to distill our service offerings into a sentence is almost impossible. It's like we help brands and creators grow on the platform, and we do influencer marketing.
I know, don't worry. I was on my own website yesterday trying to work out what our singular message is.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like, we're an integrated digital agency and we can do all the channels really well. And we're cool. So, yeah.
Yep. I know the struggle.
So you do YouTube well.
Yes.
So that's why I've got you here, because I personally have a YouTube channel for the Dylan Kohlstädt brand, and it's been my worst performing platform. I found Instagram, it took off running. Facebook, I don't really give too much love to because I'm not personally active on Facebook. So my Facebook has languished, but YouTube, and I've got a fair idea of what I've been doing wrong. But I wanted to hear from you. What goes into having a successful YouTube channel?
It's a good question, and I think it's good to be realistic that building a YouTube channel is hard. It is hard work. It's why we love the platform so much, because there's not as much vanity metric involved. It's not as easy to build an audience, and so the false sense of success doesn't apply to YouTube.
Yes.
There was so much content being uploaded. I think the most recent stats, I can't remember, from 2019, were that every minute enough content is being uploaded to YouTube that'll take you something like 6 years to watch. So to try and break through all that noise is very, very difficult. It takes a lot of hard work. And I've written some things that I would imagine would be the fundamentals that our YouTube team share with our clients. I think the first is strategy. Really having a clear purpose for why it is that YouTube is in your mix, what the purpose of the channel is, and what it's going to try and do for you. Why YouTube as a whole in your strategy. Second thing would be content. Often we find that we think a beautiful video is what good content is, but in fact, good content is good storytelling. Really trying to get a sense of how to tell really good stories. The most ignored facet of YouTube's growth over time is consistency.
Yes.
So because there's so much content to watch on the internet, and people are not going to subscribe to 100 different YouTube channels like they do on Instagram. They'll subscribe to 100 different, or click follow on 100 different accounts. They won't do the same thing on YouTube. There's only a certain amount of hours in the day to watch YouTube content. And the only way people are going to trust you is if you're consistent with your content. If every Tuesday you're consistent with your release, people learn consumption habits of your content. So in the long term, the only way to build a YouTube channel is to be specific. To be consistent. It doesn't have to be consistent every day or every hour or every week even. Just be consistent about the release schedule.
So same date, same time, every day, every time, exactly whatever that is.
Often as you can, yeah. It's almost like imagine as an exponential growth that if you only be producing consistently once a month, your growth curve will be relatively slow. If you produce once a week, it'll be a little bit faster. If you produce once a day, you'll most likely be even faster.
I've seen the exponential numbers for Casey Neistat, Gary Vee. When they started posting daily, it just went through the roof.
Yes, it's
but
insane.
Their lives and the quality of their lives also just went
exactly.
Record all day, edit all night.
Exactly. Which is linked to this part about strategy, because if you want big audiences, this is how to get big audiences. There's no other way to do that. And YouTube consumers don't consume content like they do on Instagram through sort of scrolling and double tapping and scrolling and double tapping. Yeah. The engagement's much higher because they're vested in the content. It's like 30 minutes of content they're going to be consuming that they have to really be vested in. So they've got to know that you're trusting, that you're going to be trustworthy enough to release consistently. Okay. And people will only really build a subscription habit once they know that you're consistent as well. Once they really know what you're here for, what they're going to receive, and that you do that consistently. The other big part of it is realizing that YouTube is a community. Much unlike the other social platforms, YouTube really people come to either find information or to feel part of a community, to find something that they can connect to. So being really, really personal on YouTube is the way to go about doing that. It's not a sort of distant approach of like sort of, I'm just kind of, TV approach. Here's a video. Hey guys, hey everybody. It's like, hey you, thanks so much. You're on your private laptop, on your phone in the train. I see you. Thanks so much for being part of this. And being super personal about the community, mentioning people in comments, showing their stuff, showing their names and stuff on screen. The community element is what really is valuable. There's a community tab on YouTube that you can get to discuss things with YouTube audiences. They really are finicky. The other part of it is distribution. It's a lot of our corporate clients lack in this space is learning how to distribute content wisely. And there's so many ways to do that. You can do that through social media, paid media, PR, traditional. trying to get a sense of how to make sure people find this content is important, because there's, like I said, there's so much content available. Ensuring that people know about it is great. It's not a post and hope that people are going to find you. They won't. It's a search engine. People need to be fed towards the platform itself. So a really smart part of your strategy needs to be, how am I going to distribute
include
this?
it in your content plan, include in the footer of your mailers that's going out.
Yes, embed it in newsletters. Post it on the website, tweet about it every single day, Instagram stories, swipe ups all the time. Get people used to the fact that this is something you're proud of and excited for, and that it's almost like they're missing out if they don't get there. Because once they're on the platform and then they've clicked subscribe, then you've got a loyal viewer. Because a subscribed viewer, generally speaking, will watch content regularly. They get notifications on emails, etc. So distribution is usually lacking. People think quite hard about, I want YouTube. They produce these beautiful pieces of content, spend hundreds of thousands of rands making video, load videos up organically, and then don't achieve anything. Think about paid media on YouTube specifically, but then social media, PR, paid on other platforms as well.
Do you do the ads? Do you also do ads?
So we do YouTube ads as well. I think it's really valuable because there are like at least daily about 7.5 million people consuming content regularly every month on YouTube in South Africa. And so there is 7.5 million people worth of sitting out there that in your target market, perhaps some of those are in your target market. So by doing paid media, pre-rolls, etc., you can appeal to those markets directly. And even though they're not subscribed to you right now, they at least that you exist, and then slowly but surely will start to move over to subscribing to your content once they like your ads that you're putting out there.
So can I pause you there? Because so ads, so there's many different types of ads you can take out on YouTube. You don't have to even take out a video ad, even though it's a video platform. It can just be a text-based ad. So you running ads to push people to subscribe to the channel and to view the content. So it's content ads.
So, yes and no. There's many ads can do anything.
Yes.
You can produce ads that point towards the content in the channel, and you can produce ads that point externally that are purely just sales oriented. So go to my website, buy the thing now. Most companies that I've noticed use pre-roll, for instance, to just increase the viewership numbers of the content that they have organically. So they'll produce an ad or something on the YouTube channel, and they'll be like, let's boost this out, get views on it, right? Because they want to show, look, our video we made got 100,000 views. We don't work that way. I don't think it's valuable to the customer or to the client. So, it depends. If your strategy from a paid media perspective is, I need to gain subscribers on my YouTube channel, you create content specifically linked towards subscribe to my channel. So you'll create content. It's like, hey guys, before you watch this video that you're about to watch that I know you've come here for, my channel exists. It's awesome. Go subscribe. You can produce pre-rolls that are like that. So it's not as simple as, create ads that link to your channel. It's create ads that have some kind of purpose and decide what that is up front.
But I think that's exactly the same as per any social media platform. It depends on what your strategy is and what your goal is. So whenever I meet a new client, I ask them the following. What's your strategy? What's your goal? What do you want to achieve from this? Who is your customer base? Because then I can start to ascertain, the type of
demographics,
everything. And then how much do you want to spend? And based on those three metrics, I can come up with anything. So I suppose YouTube's no different. You need a clear strategy, and it doesn't have to be like a big overarching corporate strategy. It should be granular strategy. Okay, a campaign strategy, a follower strategy, an engagement strategy.
Absolutely.
Sales strategy, whatever it is.
So the question about that I always get asked, and I know that I'm pretty sure you're going to be interested in this question in any case, is how do I build a large YouTube audience? The question is a myth because there's no such thing as a large audience. What is a large audience? Is it a valuable audience is a better question. So those things you asked about who you're trying to target, what do you want them to do at the end of the day? What does success look like to you? If you know those three things, then you can create strategies off the back of that are very specific.
So I suppose, like, to your point, it's about identifying a small tribe. So it's not about the large audience, it's about a small, highly engaged tribe. So you could have 10,000 subscribers, but they're an avidly loyal, engaged, passionate about you and your content.
That's my thought. Yeah, absolutely. Again, if you want a really large-scale audience, you're welcome to go do that as well. And it has its own benefits and its own sort of risks involved. But identifying what you want matters, because I think often the briefs come in to say, no, I'd rather have really high engagement rates. I'm not interested in reach and impressions. But then the impressions and the reach come out really low. The engagement's really high. Oh, no, this didn't work for us. Not enough people saw the video. But that wasn't the strategy, guys. Exactly. That wasn't what we were out there to do.
I know. When clients come and say it didn't work, I always do this. Didn't work. It's like, okay, what didn't work? I'll tell you what didn't work. You had the wrong goal, or you used the wrong tool to dig the wrong kind of hole. So
exactly. So we have clients on our retainer base that are completely across the board. One client wants large number of views on their videos. They don't care who the audiences are.
Yeah.
We have another client who is a very niche customer. They're never going to have 100,000 subscribers and never will.
Yeah.
No one's interested in, there aren't 100,000 people who are interested in that kind of service. They want only the people who are really interested in what they do, interested in their channel, and they want that engagement rate super, super high. And they want to increase their local viewership because they don't sell internationally. So our goals were increase South African viewership, increase engagement rate, and obviously get people to, that's I suppose your engagement, but get people to start commenting more on the content and get them engaged in the community cycle. And so we focus on those goals. So when we say a video got 400 views, we're not like, oh, what a failure of a video plan. It was like, these are 400 people and we got 399 comments. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All of the 400 views are engaged people in their niche, in their market of people they want to speak to. So asking yourself, the question isn't how many people do you want, it's what kinds of quality of people do you want.
What do you want them to do?
And each one is successful.
Yes.
So there's no right answer to that.
So if, for example, you did want to increase followers, if that was your goal.
Subscribers.
Excuse me. Subscribers. What's the top strategy for that?
Okay, so best way to increase the number of subscribers, consistency. Make sure that you're producing content regularly. You'll find that your ratio of views from people that are subscribed to people that are just finding your content from other sources will be quite skewed towards people coming from outside sources, because nobody's going to subscribe to content that's once off.
Okay.
And they're more likely to subscribe to something that they know they're going to receive regularly and consistently. Okay. So that's probably one of the key strategies.
Okay.
2 is do a clever distribution mechanism and speak about it. So we always talk about adding value, but speak about it in your distribution. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and make that a distribution mechanism. Yes. Our YouTube channel's got this series coming up. Subscribe so you don't miss a thing.
Action.
Yeah, call to actions. Get people used to the fact that you want them to subscribe.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, in terms of the subscription basis, so be consistent, distribute and tell people to subscribe as much as you can, and then consider collaborations. So if you're a corporate or an individual and you know there are famous people on YouTube already, consider collaborating with relevant people who speak to your target market.
So would you go for someone that's just got slightly more following than you, or would you aim high?
So again, back to my question, there's no such thing as more following than you. It's who's got the most relevant following to you. So they could be smaller than you, but speak to a market that you want to be speaking to. Even their 5 people that come across are valuable 5.
Okay.
You can go and collaborate with Casper Lee and get 100,000 subscribers off the back of a video with him. I don't know if that's true. That's just a thumbs up.
Yes.
You get 100,000 subscribers, but they're completely not interested in your content. Your engagement rate is going to be really low. Your audience retention will really be low. And even if they don't unsubscribe, they might say subscribe, but they'll never consume the content. And the valuable thing on YouTube is what's called watch time, the collective amount of time people spend watching content. And so you want to gain the right kind of subscribers. It's not about going above or below.
That's the metric to chase, is the watch time, and not the subscriber, the vanity metric.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So if I wanted to drive a comment strategy, similar to what you're saying, except I would be saying the call to action would be comment below.
Add value. So I think the way to get people to engage with content is to add value to them. It's not just comment below, because you'll hear every YouTuber does a thing. Thanks so much for watching. Yes. Please don't forget to comment, like and subscribe.
And comment below. Yes. My 5-year-old did it the other day. She goes, please and thank you for that, and please subscribe and comment below. She literally rambled it as she barely knew what she was saying.
Yeah, she knows.
YouTube for you.
Yeah, that kind of strategy is not as effective as being very intentional about it. So what our YouTubers generally do from an engagement strategy perspective is they start using things like polls and content. So while you're recording the video, for instance, and you have a moment where, for instance, you're making a decision. So one of our car enthusiasts on YouTube, the channel's called Liberable. He was trying to make a decision in a vlog of his whether he's going to move to Samsung or to Apple. I think it was on Samsung and wanted to know whether to move to Apple or not. And so he asked his fans, what do you guys think? Should I move to Apple or stay on Samsung? Yeah. A poll, a little info card would appear on screen. The content continues to play and the people could just vote in the poll.
Yes, yeah.
The next video, he then announced, hey guys, thanks so much for all your votes in the poll. Here's the results. I've moved on, and he made the decision. So take action when people obviously give comments, react to stuff when people do comment in the section, stay in the comment section, and then don't be afraid to mention people's comments next time. So if you said, hey guys, so I hope you enjoyed that video. I'm really keen to figure out with you, do you think this is something you'd appreciate or you'd hate, etc. Let your comments down below, and I will, I'll mention the top comments next time we're live. And then the next time your video's up, you can say thanks so much to Piti, Auntie, Tandeka, and everybody else who commented on the video. Really appreciate it.
Give them a shout out.
Give them shout out.
So how important is video and production quality
So,
and sound?
I used to say that it's not relevant at all, like it doesn't matter, because the storytelling matters. I think there's so much content available to people, you can't hoodwink people into thinking that your video is good because the quality is good. And I used to use the example, and it always happens, even we've produced content like this at the client's request, but slow sweeping shot of drone establishing the location, tight close-up shot of main character's face, music sets up and gets going, title strap up, like 20 seconds in, I'm like, guys, get to the point. Give me the information. So I think more importantly to me than production quality is really good storytelling. Find a story that's really important to the customer you're trying to speak to. But more and more production quality is becoming relevant because obviously the market has improved so much, technology has improved so much. If you're really producing shoddy sort of quality content, the likelihood of people feeling, like they can enjoy the content is getting harder and harder. But there are channels in South Africa that are most followed channels in the country that are shot on phones in someone's bed, talking about random stuff, and they have 40, 50, 60, 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So it's not really about the quality of the video, it's more about the content of the video.
So if the content is amazing, the quality can be compromised. If the content is fairly not mediocre, but
then
then
I would consider good editing techniques. So I think that's another big part about video production for YouTube specifically as a platform is you can still make interesting content without the story being great by thinking about very smart ways to keep the consumer engaged. So travel videos, for instance, the content's pretty boring. I'm never going to go necessarily. This is off the top of my mind. People are going to hate me. If you love travel videos, go and watch. You get inspired by how beautiful things are. You're never going to experience that as well. But just the cinematics make you feel like, whoa, how did they do that technique? Wow, that was really interesting. They cut between things quite sharply. There's really cool ways to keep a consumer engaged and keep their minds active through content. So if you can tell a good story, that's my first prize. If you can do it in a really cool way, that's my second prize. And then obviously third, editing. If you have a really fancy camera, that's like third prize.
So I think if you want to be if you want to pick YouTube as a channel, so would you need to master editing and really understand it yourself? Or is it something that you could just outsource? If you got the money, you can outsource it. If you don't have the money, you better learn it.
Yeah, that's my thought. If you have the money, outsource it, get someone to do it who does this regularly, just because they can do it faster than you and they already know all the techniques that are required. But the more in control you can be of your content, the better. So if you are able to edit your own content, you can give it its personality, you can build templates, you can get a sense of how people like to consume your stuff. And that's the way you can save a lot of money, because obviously the biggest barrier to entry I'd imagine for a YouTube strategy is the cost of production. So the more you can do yourself, the better. All YouTubers, we don't take over all the channels we manage, we don't take over their channels from a production and post-production perspective. We help them on the strategy side. They're still shooting their own videos. They're still editing their own videos. They're still uploading their own videos.
Yes.
If you try and relinquish control, you'll have the same example. If there are a lot of media agencies and creative agencies listening, this is a direct stab at you, but I think the marketing managers of brands relinquish control over strategy to agency, and they no longer in control of their own brand voice, and they don't necessarily know why things work and why things don't work, and they're not consistently going to be reliant on outsourced suppliers to achieve anything. And I think the more you can keep in-house, the better from this perspective, because you can be in control of your analytics, you can understand your audiences, you can engage directly, you can play and realize how hard it is to do something. So when you are outsourcing, you know how much time to allocate to those things. So I'd say the better you can master it yourself and keep it in-house, the better again.
The betterer.
The betterer.
And okay, making money on YouTube. Can South Africans make money on YouTube?
Cool. So $1 million question or R1 million question we receive. The answer is yeah. It depends what kind of money you're talking about. It would be remiss of me to share too much detail about finances, but if you're expecting to make 100,000 Rand off a YouTube channel just from your Google AdSense, you're widely sort of misinformed and need to go get a day job. But I do think it is really possible to make good money on YouTube. All the YouTubers we manage are surviving full-time off their YouTube channels.
Is it predominantly from collaborations and influencer marketing, or is it a bit of a mixed portfolio?
It's a hybrid portfolio.
Yeah.
So they make some of their money from Google AdSense. I'd say if you're sitting, also really the Google AdSense stuff is about the number of people that watch the ads, on the number of ads you have, the types of ads you have on your content.
Yes.
It's not just I have 1 million subscribers, I make X, I have 40,000 subscribers, I make Y.
Yes.
Some creators are producing daily content that has 1 million views. Some people are producing only monthly content. And so their revenues are going to be vastly different. But on average, if you're producing at least a video a week and you have around 40,000 subscribers, you can be inching between that sort of 6 to 10,000 Rand a month mark of just Google AdSense revenue. If you're producing consistently and your audiences are really good, and it really, please don't hold me accountable to those numbers. And it's like, I've got 40,000, nothing's happening to me. It's really dependent on the kinds of ads, how long people are watching your ads, your entire advertising strategy. But then they make most of their other money off influencer campaigns. So the same creator has the same number of followers could charge 35,000 Rand a video to have somebody be a part of it. So there are ways to make money on YouTube very easily.
If you know what you're doing.
If you know what you're doing,
Or hire you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a question. Oh, it's gone out of my head.
Edit that out.
Edit this out. Let's have a drink of water. It's getting hot in here.
It is. It's weird. There's a little mini aircon. I don't even know if that's very cute.
I had a pretty... Oh, that's what I want to say. So I was thinking, if I really like a YouTuber, I should watch the ads that show before his channel.
Absolutely.
As a way of supporting him. But I've never seen anyone with a call to action that says, guys, please watch the videos before my show, just as a way of saying thank you. Because
YouTubers
I get
do that.
money.
They do that all the time. Yeah, they do that because
seen that.
I think it's really like, again, I mentioned this idea that YouTube is a community and there's a real person behind the content. I think that's what makes it really, really valuable. You can't be sort of separate from the audience because they feel very connected to you, and so you also can't lie to them. They know that you make money from their ads. You place the ads before your video. Google didn't just do that for you. You chose to put an ad here, and so it's important to be vulnerable with the audience to say, like, guys, the way to keep the channel alive is if I make money off it, and the way to make money from it is from these ads. It's difficult because it does mess around a little bit with the advertising strategy, because is that viewer really engaged in the advert, or are they just watching it to support you? But at the same time, I think there are YouTubers who do encourage their followers to watch the adverts. I think it is a smart strategy to realize that, that's how you make money. For those who don't know, basically businesses go to Google and they buy Google ads and they choose to display it on YouTube, for instance. Those adverts then are displayed on content relevant to what the customer decided to, who the demographic of the customer is. The content then appears before those videos, whichever format the YouTuber allows. That content then appears. If you watch that ad beyond the 5-second skip or the 3-second skip, or the non-skippable, if you don't skip it, obviously, because you can't. If you watch that content, the client is then billed. Google keeps a portion of that revenue. And I don't want to get this number wrong on a live podcast, but I'd probably say it's about 80-20 or 83-17 or something along those lines of a split between the YouTube creator and Google, obviously keeping their share. Yeah. And that's how the YouTubers make money.
Make their money. Oh, now my questions have gone away. Hold on, talk amongst yourselves. Okay, so what do you think is the future of video content creation? So I've seen, this rise in authenticity, and people are looking for a real genuine digital relationship with the creators. So I don't know, what some of the trends that you see coming out and the future of video content creation on YouTube?
It's a very exciting world because video is driving so many great conversions. So it is the most phenomenal medium to advertise on. There's so much that you can do with it in the same amount of real estate. It's a phenomenal medium. In terms of the future of video, I recently wrote an article for Biz Community in their Trends 2020, and I was trying to explain in there that you need to be very careful of thinking of international trends, because everyone's talking about 360 video, virtual reality video. All these things are phenomenal things that will be coming out. Start considering these new platforms in terms of video, like your TikToks. Although they are, in my opinion, not the sort of long-term solution to your video strategy, they do exist, and there are millions of people consuming content on the platforms. Thinking of shorter form collaborations with creators are really, really important. Long form, however, is still on the rise and will continue to be on the rise. I was looking at some of the stats online about South African consumption. But on YouTube, on average, on average of every visit to YouTube in South Africa, a person is spending about 30 minutes consuming content. That is half. Facebook and all the other social media platforms are half or less than that. And so people aren't afraid to watch long form content on YouTube. So don't be afraid to tell stories as long as they're good stories and you're not wasting people's time. Biggest thing for our business that we have, we've tried to set ourselves apart in this space is using data to lead creative. They need to work simultaneously together, but a lot of brands are deciding to use content and ideas that they have based on what they think people like, or based on personal views, or based on what they've seen work previously, and they're not letting data drive those decision-making processes. Consider who your audiences are. Check through the analytics of the channels. See which ones are getting the most watch time. Where's your highest audience retention? Do a lot of data gathering and data mining for yourselves, because if you can repeat what is working, your strategy will continue to grow. So I think it's one of the big trends. You'll see more data-led decision-making when it comes to creative, and not just creative for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Video podcasting, obviously like you're doing today, it's going to be a slightly bigger in South Africa coming up. I think a lot of people are realizing that content is king. They want to be able to obviously keep costs low, so they'll do the audio and record the video, and they can distribute that on multiple different mediums, giving you more assets to use and more bang for your buck. So I think in South Africa, you'll see more video podcasting appearing, especially from the corporate world soon. It's a great way to get content marketing out there. And then last but not least, I'll probably be this platform integration. At the moment, everyone's kind of got the siloed approach to, there's an Instagram strategy, a Twitter strategy, a Facebook strategy. With video, you need an integrated strategy, because the assets you're creating for your ads need to speak to the same assets you're doing on social, etc. But they can't be the same. You don't want to cannibalize audiences. And so the more education we're doing and other agencies are doing in this space, you'll see a lot more platform integration, thinking about platform-specific approaches to video. The old traditional approach, which is, I call it old, but it's still present, is we spend 3.5 million rand, we create a TVC that goes out onto TV. We then rerun it to give it a second legs on YouTube. We buy a whole bunch of paid media, and then that's our strategy. And then we load that same thing onto social. That no longer works. You've got to start thinking about, cool, we've got the ad that goes out on TV, fantastic. What digital asset am I creating for YouTube? Is it a pre-roll? Is it non-skippable? Is it a collaboration with a YouTuber? What is it? How do I create cut downs that are relevant to social, 15-second swipe ups, 1-minute square content? And is it relevant to the platform and to the audiences on those platforms? So I think one of the big trends you'll see is a lot more integration in terms of video across platform.
Yeah, so content created for platform, for each platform, as opposed to just taking one piece and then smooshing it out all over the show.
Or just posting it on one platform and not talking about it on the others. I think that integration will improve.
Because one of the things that's really been a bugbear for me for the longest time is TV ads that run on YouTube.
Yeah.
Your logo's at the very end. I didn't even get there. Like, who the heck is producing this ad for you? Like, they don't even get digital. So, but...
And it's happening a lot. And I do ask the creative agencies and the media agencies to take responsibility for that stuff, because I think the margins are much higher in producing TVCs. Yes. And so it's much easier to produce a 3 million rand ad once or twice or 3 times a year.
Awards.
Yeah, and they're not going to win awards off doing a small little YouTube ad. But the awards agencies, the Luries, the bookmarks are all starting to include these categories in their awards for you to look into. And I think it's the most exciting thing to see is the data showing you that what you decided to do as strategy made sense and worked for you. 100,000 views doesn't matter to an advert on YouTube. It's did the person stay beyond the 5 second, and how long did they stay beyond that 5 second? And to measure the quality of that ad.
And there's some really clever ads out there.
Very much so. And PPC will save your life, man. If you can feed somebody one ad in the top of the funnel from an awareness perspective, then feed them something on top of that that's sort of on a consideration, and then on the purchase, you can really be creative about the way that you speak to consumers without having to spam them with rubbish content.
Well, that's exactly when you start creating these digital journeys, and you start with sort of a softer approach, and it's more entertaining, and then it starts to become slightly more hard sell as they engage with the content more and more. You can craft that with digital across all the platforms.
Isn't it the typical marketing sort of jargon that everyone's using at the moment is the jab, 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 right hook? Because that's I can't remember. It's one of the big marketing gurus. Jab, 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 right hook. Add value to the customer for as often as you can, for as much as you can.
Exactly.
If they've built that trust with you over time, they're more likely to purchase your product because they've built a trusting relationship with you. Otherwise, all you're going to be doing is fighting price war. And that's not a way to get a consumer engaged in your brand.
Exactly. So where I'm encouraging our clients to go is into this content creation space. I say to them, let's create a TV show for you. Let's create a radio show for you. We've got YouTube, we've got podcasting. We've got Instagram, we've got IGTV, which nobody really, I don't think, watches as much.
Yeah, it's not doing so well.
Not doing so well. But this is where it's going. Like, we're not into hard sell anymore. If we need hard sell, sure, we'll create some ads, boom, get you some customers, tick that box. But let's create a long-term relationship with the customer.
Yeah, and in fact, do both. We've always called it our hybrid approach, which is you need an organic strategy that is really good content, like you mentioned now, that is built for the long term. That's building trust with the consumer, adding value, FAQs, and all that stuff. And then you need to have your paid strategy, because I know I know you as marketers need immediate results. You need the money right now. You need the sales. Yeah. Do the paid media approach,
do the ads,
do all of that stuff, but then do a hybrid approach alongside that. And I think that's been our big thing. So the three words that YouTube uses are hero, hub, and help content. Those are three categories of video content that you can consider producing when you're entering that content space. Hero content is the stuff you probably spend most of your paid media on. It's like a big hero campaign, awareness, get to know me. It forces people into your funnel, makes people aware of you. You spend lots of money, you distribute it everywhere, you make a lot of noise about it. You only do it once a year, you never repeat it. Then you've got your hub content, which is what people will subscribe for. What are they used to consuming on your platform, and what will people come back regularly for? And then your help content is your FAQs, explainer style content. Those sort of things live forever, and it adds a lot of value to the customer, because then they feel like they can understand, they know how to use your platforms, your products, or your services. They feel like you're giving them information which is super valuable. And you can use the example of Red Bull in there. So Red Bull, in terms of the hero content, the guy skydiving from space, hero campaign, went viral, go everywhere, talk about it. It's not what they do regularly. Yeah. What they do regularly is racing, off-roading, tricksters, you name it, they do that kind of stuff. And so that'll be their hub content, and then I don't know what help content they produce, but like, here's how to use our new app. How to cook with a Red Bull. Yeah, the most searched term on YouTube is how-to content. I think if you look at the consumer cycle journey, before someone makes a purchasing decision, they'll often go look at reviews online, and they'll go check more information about the product on YouTube. It's a search engine. It's owned by Google. People will be like, how to do this? And if your brand is right on top of that with all the right SEO, with all the information, the customer's like, wow, this brand cares about my purchasing decisions. They're giving me information. It's not a hard sell. And they can build a trusting relationship with you. So that brings us to SEO, because I just wanted to touch very briefly on the SEO. Good. So SEO also ties back to your analytics, which is basically what you're saying is, before you do anything, look at your analytics. And then once you look at your analytics, you can craft content that people are actually looking for. Yeah. So I know some of the case studies that I use when I run training courses is Kate Spade, and I can include the link down below, when they were looking to see what was being searched for, women were saying, how do I know if I'm confident? And so they got some celebrity women to talk about, what would you do if you wrote a love letter to yourself? What would you say? And so they're selling perfume. It's got nothing to do with perfume. It's got everything to do with who buys the perfume and the consumer. So if you go back to SEO, top tools that you use, or any tips and insights, just quickly, without giving away your secret sauce? No, there's no such thing as secret sauce in this digital age. We should all share information as much as we can. We have a third-party API tool that we use. It's called vidIQ. We pay a monthly subscription for it. That just helps us look at the SEO scoring, which you can't normally go and find other SEO scores. But YouTube is a very closed platform in terms of the amount of information it releases about audiences. So we use a third-party tool on the SEO side. You've got to remember that a piece of content has multiple traffic sources. One of those is search. So how people are finding you on, like, keywords they're typing into YouTube that ended up pointing your video in their direction. There's obviously your distribution mechanisms, there's social media, websites, newsletters, etc. Then there's subscriptions as well. So people obviously get a notification every time you subscribe. So there's different ways to find content on YouTube. Search is a really big and valuable part of it. It increases the amount of impressions that are on your platform. It helps you find relevant customers. So if you do your SEO properly on YouTube, like for instance, long tail keywords are better than short tail keywords. It's pretty much exactly the same as for web, but just for YouTube. It is a search engine after the day. People are going to be looking for things like best restaurants, Cape Town. You want to make sure that all of your keywords, best restaurants, Cape, best restaurants, Cape Town, all those things are involved in your content, and check the ranking scores to see where you can rank in your particular field of expertise. Companies like ours will go in and do an entire SEO audit on what content in your genre is happening, where the search volumes are, where the competitive search search terms are and ensuring you optimize those things. But yeah, you want to get your SEO score up to about like sort of 60% and higher, so that when people are trying to organically find your content, they do. And it's like simple things, like spell your name wrong. You know what I mean? Like imagine with your surname and my surname, if we had YouTube channels, if I had a YouTube channel, you do, to make sure people spell your name incorrectly all the time. And when they're trying to find you, they won't find you because you spelled it only one way on your search terms. But you can set up defaults. YouTube's got a function where you can set up defaults for all your keywords, all the basic ones, and all you do is per piece of content you add unique keywords to that piece of content. Channel keywords, vital, but without SEO, I think channels will fall flat in the water fast. That's been our biggest learning curve with our creators. If you don't improve the SEO, your viewership goes down, your impressions go down, your click-through rate goes down, everything goes down. Yeah.
So I can't think of anything else I want to do to pick your brain. I feel like I've just maximized this time with you. Yeah. Is there anything you want to close with before we move on?
Just in closing, I think just to encourage people to try and play. I think we've decided to niche ourselves as a YouTube specialist company because I think in the long term, video is always going to be present. It's always going to be a valuable medium to work. And if you're not playing in video, you're really going to be in trouble in a few years' time. But deciding which platforms to be on is a big challenge for brands. What's going to be in the long term? What's worth our investment? There are far too many platforms, little budgets. How do we decide? If you really want to build a long-term video strategy, YouTube is the place to be because it's not an algorithm. It's not a social media platform in inverted commas. It's a search engine and it's a content hub. If you imagine why I say this is because if you imagine something on Facebook, a cool video appears of a cat playing with a ball and you loved it and you want to go and find it again to show your family, you'll never find it again on Facebook. You have to go and type those things into YouTube to go and re-find it. The content has a longer lifespan. It's got an SEO function, which means that you can always re-find content and content archive it. The community is much stronger. The engagement's much stronger. And so just take the leap, take the step, produce something and start being consistent. I think that'll be my last thought.
And just to add into that, so I think like especially when it comes to things like influencer marketing, measuring campaigns, marketers are always saying, did my influencer marketing campaign work? Did it work? And so, if you think about the asset that gets created, if it's a video, how long that lives to the point you said earlier, a piece of video could, live 6 years later and still be returning you views. But you measured the end results at the end of the month when that campaign ran, and you don't stop and as a marketer or as a brand manager or a business owner stop and check every year to see what the stats are on the views of that piece of asset, the collaboration.
Yeah. That's why our clients take us on retainer because they need longer term strategies to these things. They need to see what's the impact over time. And for instance, like you mentioned, some of these videos continue to gain views. We will not do an influencer marketing campaign on YouTube where the reporting is required less than 2 weeks after the video goes live. Your key period of time for a video to do really well is that first 2 weeks, and then afterwards it dies down slowly. But you will continue to gain views. The most popular YouTubers in the world, their first video is still their most watched video. Because once somebody loves you, they're going to go back to all your old stuff and find your first original, and they're going to continue to watch it. So you need to consistently be involved in your analytics, keep checking these things, which is why
I think I know we're going to end now. But I think to your point that, in the beginning, your content might be a little bit cringeworthy, but it still speaks of your journey. And I think your followers, your subscribers do like that. They do like to go back and see where you started your funky hairstyle and, how your office
terrible
looked. Terrible editing, bad sound, dorky jokes, and just how it's progressed. And they love you more for it. So I've got a lot of clients that don't want to start because they're worried that it's going to be dorky. And I'm like, it will be dorky. You will cringe, but it's part of the journey. So just get started.
Yeah. I think it's also especially high-end brands. They have to have that concern. They've got brands to uphold. Sure. Those brands need to be conscious of don't start until you're ready to do it right.
Yeah.
But then, absolutely. For everyone else, just produce, just create, just start somewhere. Especially if you're a private individual, then I would say I don't care. Just do anything, upload content. We've seen worse. Trust me, it's always that thing when you go to the doctor's room and you want to show your most creepy, weird rash in the most inappropriate position. The doctor's always going to say, I've seen worse. You know what I mean? Same thing on YouTube. There's so much terrible content out there. There's no way the joke could be worse. Just do it, try, play.
And besides, you have like no followers and probably one person will see it, maybe two. So it's like the whole of the interwebs is going to stop.
Exactly. You might go viral for being terrible, but that's whole other story.
That's a whole other strategy.
That's for next week. Yeah.
Thank you, Danilo. You've been amazing.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.